Hello, race fans.
Hello there, race fans, and welcome to round 6 of the Attrition Sim Race Campus Oval Series. Tonight we are out at the historic Hickory Motor Speedway for 101 laps of late model action. Here in Hickory, North Carolina, this track is 0.36 miles or 0.58 kilometers in length. It opened up back in 1951 and has since earned the title of the world's most famous short track. It has had winners such as Ralph Earnhardt, Ned Jarrett, and Junior Johnson as track champions here, and it has played host to the NASCAR Cup Series for a long time back before the 2000s, and also has held a few Xfinity races here and there. That said, we are getting ready to go racing. We're wrapping up qualifying a little bit more still. If you want to check out Attrition Sim Race Campus, you can find them at www.asrcracing.com or at ASRC Racing on Twitter. Attrition currently is in its 5th year anniversary. They started racing 5 years ago with their Road Series, which still continues to this day at 7 p.m. Eastern every Monday night. Currently, they are racing multi-class MX-5 cars and TCRs. After that is where we are right now at 9 p.m. Eastern. They have the late model series for the Oval Series for 101 laps or 101 miles, depending on the track. Then on Tuesday nights, they have the Dirt Pro late model at 7 p.m. Eastern. No, 9 p.m. Eastern. I know times. So if any of those interest you, feel free to join the league. The only requirements to race with ASRC is to treat other drivers with respect. That said, qualifying is now in the books, so how about we take a look at our starting lineup, presented by Majors Garage and Sim Racer Hub. Starting out on the pole tonight in the number 21 machine, David Sluiter in his second ever start with the league. Starting to his outside, rookie Carl Felver in the number 15 machine out of Ohio. Following them, Anthony Nadell in the number 9 machine, also in his second ever start here with the league. In fourth place is Timothy Messimer Jr. in the number 33 entry, who I believe is a rookie here with the league. In fifth place, Coy Hasselou in the number 87 machine, also making his second ever start with the league. In sixth place, our 3-time winner and 3-time series champion Brian Sabelski in the number 85 machine in sixth place. In seventh place, the Oval Series founder Jason Gardner in the number 93 machine. In eighth place, in the number 70 machine, is Jason Mong. In ninth place, in the number 27 machine, in the Lernerville TV entry, is league admin Johnny Bell. And finally, rounding out our 10-car field tonight is Eric Gahn in the number 51 machine for Dirt Bag Racing. 101 laps are up for grabs here tonight in the Oval Series. We will definitely have to be keeping a close eye out on how some of these drivers are going to be interacting with the newer folks here in the series. Brian Sabelski was, of course, 3-time winner with the Oval Series. He won the first 3 races of the season, and then he had to go take some time with his family on vacation. So this is Brian Sabelski's first race back, and I'll tell you what, Carl Felver, David Sluiter, Anthony Nadell, Timothy Messimer, and Coy Hasselou are all drivers that he has not interacted with yet. So we will have to see how he manages to make things work here tonight. But that said, the pace car is off. We are going green flag racing here at the Hickory Motor Speedway. already a little bit of trouble in the back. It looks like Jason Mong in that number 70 machine might have gotten checked up just a little bit there, just a little bit of a wiggle on the start there, but all of these drivers are managing to keep their cars going. Jason Gardner currently working that low line to his advantage in the number 93 machine, working his way around Brian Sabelski in the 85. Brian falling back a position from where he qualified. He's definitely probably going to want to work on conserving his tires here tonight. Hickory Motor Speedway is a incredibly slick track from what I have heard talking to the drivers during practice, and trust me, the last thing you want when you're trying to manage your tires is being on a slip and slide through these corners. Whenever the tires are not going the direction they're supposed to be, that is scraping rubber off onto the racetrack, which is definitely not a good thing for your car in the long run. That said, you do get an extra set of tires here in the ASRC Oval Series, so they aren't mandatory to be taken, and on a lot of races we actually don't see them taken, but they are there just as an option for these drivers in case they decide that that might be part of their strategy. Speaking of strategy, fuel also is sometimes a question here in the Oval Series. It is not always guaranteed to need to be a fuel stop race. It really depends on the length of the track and how many cautions there are. The fuel level was trouble back in the back. Spin for Jason Gardner. The caution flag is out on lap 9, our first caution of the evening for that number 93 machine, which really does add into the considerations for if drivers will need fuel or not. Talking to Mr. Race Organizer Jason Gardner, he was telling me that he set the fuel limits on these cars so that fuel might be something to consider on some tracks, but on the shortest track of the season at Oxford Plains Speedway, you are guaranteed not to need fuel. Because, for those of you that don't know, Oxford Plains Speedway has a incredibly awkward dual pit road that is honestly way too short to safely drive on, so we wanted to make sure that drivers would not be mandatory required to pit stop at that track. But it's still very close to riding the threshold of what can and can't be done in terms of fuel, so we will have to see what works out for these drivers here tonight. But that said, let's take a look back at what happened to Jason Gardner in that number 93 machine. He's running up on the high line a little bit, trying to keep from getting passed by Brian Sabelski, and he just gets up into the marbles, which are already forming only 10 laps in, and the rear end of the car just snapped out on him. Let's ride on board with him for that incident here in the number 93 machine of Jason Gardner. He goes up to the high line to try and keep from blocking Brian early on, and that right rear just gets caught up in the marbles, and there was just nothing he could really do to hold on to it there. It just snapped out on him. But that said, we've got him lined back up 2 by 2. The pace truck likely will be off this time by. It is. And we are green flag racing here again at the Hickory Motor Speedway. David Sluiter actually moves up to the high line on the restart there. An interesting play, but it seemed to work out for him. He did change lanes after the start-finish line, so that is perfectly a-okay. And it looks like he managed to get a better corner entry here on the speedway. Normally you want to keep the car as low as you can on corner entry, but it looks like that little bit of a move up to the high line actually helped him get a pretty solid lead here on Anthony Nadell in that number 9 machine, who is now half a second back. We have straightened out a little bit, but there is still very close battles here on the speedway. Currently, the fastest lap set by any of these drivers by our race leader, David Sluiter, in the number 21 machine, our current race leader, with a 14.75. 14 and 3/10 of a second around this 0.36 mile long speedway. So the laps are definitely going to be ticking by very quickly here for these drivers. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a track where we actually don't end up needing fuel. But these drivers definitely are going to have to be careful with their tire management because this is a very slick racetrack. You can see a lot of these drivers, their rear ends are sliding out on them just a little bit on corner exit. As the track rubbers in and the tires get hotter, that will start to steady out a little bit. But even like there, you just saw a big wiggle out of the 85 of Brian Sabelski. You definitely do not want to be doing that if you want your car to be competitive in the long run here tonight. Currently, our biggest mover on the speedway, only a fifth of the way through the race, number 51 of Eric Gahn, currently up 3 spots from where he qualified. That number 51 machine is looking pretty fast. His last lap was a 15 flat, so a quarter of a second off the fastest lap of the race, but really only less than a tenth off of the leader's last lap. So everyone is actually still setting very competitive lap times here tonight. I would imagine that this is going to become a fairly tight race, even in the long run. In the past, we have seen some instances of kind of major speed differences between some of the drivers with his debut race. That's not the right standings page. In his debut race, Chase Johnson, who did not make it tonight, won the race in his debut with only one other car on the lead lap, purely on pace. So on some of these tracks, there are fairly large speed differences between the drivers, but here tonight, the lap times are incredibly close. Because it sounds like someone might have had contact with the wall there. Not quite sure who it was, but there was definitely an impact somewhere on the speedway. It does look like everyone is managing to keep their cars going here, though. I'm not quite sure who had an incident there, if anyone. But everyone is keeping their cars going, so sometimes that's all that matters. A little bit of damage is not going to matter that much. That said, the 15 of Carl Felver just way slid up the speedway there, allowing the 87 of Koi Hasselu to get around him. Koi now up into the 3rd position, fighting to get another podium after winning last week's race back at the Langley Speedway. Brian Sabelski in that 85 machine also starting to gain some ground on these drivers as Timothy Messimer drifted up the track just a little bit there. Eric Gahn also having to check up a little bit as he got down on that apron and started to spin. He did manage to recover the car there, but that was definitely a big wiggle that made him lose a fairly decent amount of time here. Jason Long slowly but surely trying to catch up to this driver. Going down on the apron like that is a pretty risky play. On a lot of short tracks like this, the apron is just incredibly slippery, and if you get your tires down on it, it can make the car snap in very, very awkward ways, to say the least. Of course, that's not always the case, and sometimes drivers can actually use this extra rotation to their advantage, but generally speaking, you do not want to be putting your tires on the apron because it can make your car incredibly unstable. But the 51 here seems to be making that line work for him. He is definitely dropping below the yellow line through turn 2 and even turn 4 a little bit, so he's definitely making it work for him. Currently, closest battle on the speedway is actually for our last position between Johnny Bell and Jason Gardner in that number 93 machine. These two drivers being the two league admins present this race, currently battling it out for the 9th position. Jason Gardner down 3 spots from where he qualified. He, of course, was the driver involved in that first caution when he spun out in turn 4. And it does look like he has a fairly considerable amount of damage to his right front. So I'm not sure if there was wall contact made there that we're not aware of or what. But that is definitely not what that driver of the 93 machine wants to be seeing here tonight. Further up in the front, Eric Gahn making an attempt to pass Jason Mong there. It looks like Eric might have gone a little high up the speedway, but he was trying to make it work there. For just a second, there was less than a 1/10 of a second between these two drivers, so it does look like Eric Gahn might have had a little bit of a wiggle there, but he is still keeping that car going. He is still pushing along, and even still, all of these drivers are setting lap times within 2/10 of each other. The fastest lap that time by went to Koi Hasselu in the number 87 machine. He set a 15.05. So Koi and Anthony Nadell, both drivers currently setting very similar lap times, as it looks like Jason Mong might have had a little bit of wall contact. Eric Gahn managed to get around him very quickly there, and now there is right front damage on that number 70 machine. I'm not quite sure what happened there, but it does look like he might have scraped the wall out of turn 4. Turn 4 definitely seems to be the trickiest corner on this racetrack. A lot of light scrapes, light bruises tend to happen on the front stretch wall out of that corner. As again, we just heard someone make a little bit of contact with the front stretch wall. But it does look like none of these top 3 drivers have any damage, so I don't believe it was any of them. Currently our closest battle on the speedway, though, between Jason Mong and Johnny Bell in that number 27 Lernerville TV entry. Johnny Bell, of course, currently one of the main admins of the league. He does a lot of the setting up of the road series and the dirt series, and he also does almost all of the graphic design for the league. He puts a lot of effort into making, I guess the best term for it would be posters, sort of, just displaying the stats of every race, celebrating the winners of each event here in the Oval Series and ASRC as a whole, and also letting drivers know of upcoming races, point standings. If there's a stat with this league, Johnny Bell probably has made some sort of graphic and info panel displaying it. So shout out to Johnny Bell in that number 27 machine. Quite a fun driver to watch, and quite a cool guy off the track as well. As he makes a little bit of a scrape of the wall there. Apparently, if I say something nice about a driver, they then proceed to drive into the wall, so maybe I just need to stop talking about these drivers and let the race play out by itself. Up in the front, though, currently battling for the 4th position, the number 15 of Carl Felver, rookie here in the ASRC Oval Series, followed very closely behind by Brian Sabelski in the number 85 NTO machine. Brian Sabelski, 3-time winner here in the ASRC Oval Series, as it looks like he is going to maybe get the pass off on Felver here through this corner. Yeah, he is. Felver and Sabelski making a little bit of contact, but for the most part, Brian Sabelski is getting the run through these corners, especially out of turn 4. Brian does get the pass done. Brian Sabelski is a Twitch streamer. The NTO scheme is actually a parody of a NWO paint scheme from NASCAR back in the 90s, I believe. NTO, of course, a little bit of a pun because his Twitch channel is twitch.tv/NihonTiger. He streams all of his races with the ASRC League, and as well plays a couple of other games. I know he definitely plays a lot of Minecraft on his Twitch channel, so definitely be sure to give him a look-see. He's a great guy, he puts on a lot of great racing here with the League, and he puts on a lot of fun shows elsewhere as well. That, of course, again, is twitch.tv/NihonTiger. Further up in the front, though, Anthony Nadell and Koi Hasselu having a little bit of a battle here for the second position. Anthony Nadell in that number 9 machine in his second ever start with the league. Last time he actually did finish in second place as well, so this driver's been putting up a very competitive run for being someone brand new with this series. David Sluiter also making the pass on Jason Mong in that number 70 machine, making Jason Mong the first car a lap down here tonight. He does have a little bit of a gap to play with before he catches up to Jason Gardner and Johnny Bell in the 27 and 93 machines. We will have to see if this potential lap traffic will play into Koi Hasselu and Anthony Nadell's favors here, because these drivers are definitely going to want to be using these lap cars as a bit of a wedge to create gaps between other drivers and catch back up to the leaders. Jason Mong going to go up high and let the leaders past him. These two drivers now have open air between themselves and David Sluiter, so we will have to see if they're going to cooperate a little bit and work together to catch back up to the number 21 machine, or if they are both going to duke it out for second place. There are only 33 laps remaining here tonight, so I wouldn't be surprised if the drivers opt to not really play nice here, because eventually you're going to run out of time to behave yourself. You gotta make the passes at some point, and as these laps tick down, the pressure is definitely setting on to make things happen. Further up in the front, Jason Gardner in that 93 went up high to let Sluiter by, and it looks like Johnny Bell is doing the same, so that now makes 3 cars down a lap here tonight. Johnny Bell trying to work the higher line a little bit. He is still battling for position with Jason Gardner, but Jason does have a little bit of front end damage, so we will have to see if Johnny can hold Jason off here tonight, especially as Nadell and Hasselu catch up to the number 93. He is probably going to be letting the second and third place cars by here in just a second, which is going to create even further of a gap between himself and the number 27 machine. David Sluiter making the pass on the 51 of Eric Gahn. That is another car down a lap. Now 6 cars left on the lead lap here tonight, and Timothy Messimer going to be the next driver in Sluiter's sights to try and put a lap down and further that gap between himself and Nadell. Nadell currently about 2 seconds behind our race leader here. And of course, still getting plenty of pressure from Hasselu in third place in that number 87 machine. Hasselu, of course, being our race winner at the Langley Speedway last week, so he's definitely going to be putting up a pretty hefty fight to try and get another win with the league. That would definitely be a very good look on his standing sheet. That said though, 25 laps to go. 3/4 of this race is done so and in the books here tonight. Johnny Bell going up high to let these drivers by. So that now makes one car in between Nadell and Sluiter. As it looks like Brian Sabelski had some trouble there. He fell back 2 positions. Carl Felver and Timothy Messimer getting by him. It does look like he had a bit of an incident there. Let's take a look back and see if we can see what happened to the number 85 machine real quick. The number 85 there of Brian Sabelski. Oh, looks like he just had a bit of a repeat of what happened to Jason Gardner. Got a little bit loose, managed to keep the car pointed forward though, so no caution there. But that did cost Brian a couple of positions, so definitely not what he wanted to see, especially as we have 21 laps to go here. Now 20 to go tonight. Jason Gardner managing to catch up to Johnny Bell, only 0.2 of a second between these two drivers. We will have to see if Jason can still nurse this damaged car around the track and make the pass happen. It does look like the 51 of Eric Gahn might have scraped the wall a little bit there. Getting a little bit of pressure now that Johnny Bell is starting to catch up to him. Jason Gardner way down on the apron. Trouble for the number 9. Nadell just had a bit of a spin. He is still going, but he did lose a position to Hasselu. Very unfortunate for the driver of that number 9 car. But he did only lose 1 position just from how drivers are spread out around the speedway. So things are not over yet for that number 9 machine. That is, he did get very loose at the corner there. That was a very big wiggle. He did manage to recover it though. It does look like that number 9 machine is starting to have a little bit of steering issues though. 15 laps to go here though. We will have to see what this number 9 can pull off here. Still in a podium position despite everything. But we've seen plenty times in the past a lot can happen with 14 laps. It does not sound like a lot, but that does not mean much in racing sometimes. It is not over until it's over, and you can very much have the big one with just a few laps to go. Further up in the front, Johnny Bell, Eric Gahn, Jason Gardner, all 3 drivers currently battling it out for the 7th position. Roughly 0.3 of a second between each of these drivers, as Johnny Bell had a little bit of a wiggle there, allowing Jason Gardner to catch up just a bit. Johnny Bell drifting up the track a little bit, same with Jason Gardner. Both of these drivers probably have worn down their tires a pretty fair bit, but they're still doing everything they can to make this happen. Further up in the front as well, Brian Sabelski in that number 85 was getting ready to make the pass on Carl Felver. No, Timothy Messimer was getting ready to make the pass on Carl Felver, but it looks like he had to drop back a little bit. Brian Sabelski now also a lap down. 5 cars left on the lead lap here. And as Sluiter makes the pass, the 33 now also a lap down. 4 cars left on the lead lap here with 9 to go. Brian Sabelski and Timothy Messimer still very close together on pace. They set almost identical last time by. 8 to go here at the Hickory Motor Speedway. Brian Sabelski trying to make that lower line work, but he just could not make it stick going into the corner there and did drift up pretty high there. But he still is trying his best to have something to offer to that number 33 machine. He is sliding a little bit through these corners, but Sometimes that is how it goes, especially with 6 laps to go here at Hickory. Make that the big high five up in the air. Another scrape against the wall for Jason Mong. Currently, Brian and Timothy the closest battle on the speedway as Jason Mong gets involved. Lap traffic becoming a factor for these two drivers. 4 laps to go. Nearly a 3-wide situation there, but Brian Sabelski did back out a little bit. Both drivers are going to get around the number 70 of Jason Mong here. 3 laps to go this time by. A little bit of a wiggle for... Oh no! Sluiter's around! The caution is out with 3 laps to go for our race leader. What happened? Oh my goodness, after leading every lap of the race, Sluiter has just gone around. What happened there to the driver of that number 21 machine? Sluiter coming out of turn 2 here, going down the backstretch, going into turn 3, and the car just gave up on him. My goodness, race fans, that is quite the tragedy for the number 21 machine. It looked like he had this race absolutely in the bag. He had a massive lead going for him here. Let's take another look back at that spin. Let's ride on board with the number 21 of David Sluiter. He goes into turn 3, maybe gets the car a little bit unsettled there, and it just snaps around on him. Very reminiscent of the incidents that happened to Brian Sabelski and Jason Gardner earlier in this race. And Johnny Bell is pitting in here tonight. It looks like Johnny might not have the fuel needed to make it around the speedway. I'm not too sure about that though, because no one else has pit in. Johnny's the only car in. That's not true. Jason and David both also pit. So we will be going into NASCAR overtime here, and it looks like these drivers may have took tires here to try and see if they have anything to offer for this green-white checkered attempt. So basically the way this is going to work, we will be going green flag with 2 to go. And I believe we only have 1 overtime attempt here. So this is kind of for all the marbles here, race fans. And the green flag is out. Nobody was lined up correctly, but that, okay, sure. Hasselu, our new race leader in that number 87 machine. Very large gaps here on the speedway. Eric Gahn trying to get up out of the way of the number 9 machine. They do make a little bit of contact. The number 21 also trying to get around him, trying to get back positions the best he can. The white flag is out though, and Coy Hasselu takes the checkered flag here at the Hickory Motor Speedway for what is probably the most bizarre finish I have seen in the Attrition Oval Series. I've got to say, folks, that was a weird one. No victory celebration for Hasselu in that 87. He's just pulled it straight into his pit box and called it a night here. I've got to say, race fans, that was a bizarre one here tonight. And that also makes... Oh, there we go. Now we're getting it. It might have only just occurred to him that he actually got the win here. But that was quite a finish. And that also makes Hasselu a 2-time winner here in the Oval Series, because quite a similar thing happened last week where Hasselu was in the top 3 and then inexplicably in, like, I want to say the last 5 laps, the race leader wrecked, and Hasselu managed to pull off the win. What an interesting finish to this race. It's definitely going to have a bit of implications on our standings, to say the least here. Let's see if we can dial up Mr. Hasselou and give him a little bit of a chat here tonight, because I'll tell you what, race fans, that was quite the finish. So we are giving Hasselou the dial now. We will see if he picks up. Let's see here. Oh, look at that. I have permission to move people. Very interesting. Well, Koi is our race leader, so I guess I will heckle him first. Would you happen to be here, Koi? I know you're muted. I might be interrupting something important. Okay. He might not be here. But in the meantime, Anthony, that was a third place finish. Another podium here in your debut here with the series. How are you feeling after whatever that finish was?
Well, I'm feeling like that car was a little bit loose there at the end, and then coming in to get tires at the end, almost got caught behind the pace car a lap down, and could only get 2 right side tires and had to start at the back. So unfortunately, I feel like if I would have been able to get tires and line up behind, I'd been able to get around both those guys. But I guess I'll take a third place and be happy with it. I was probably going to run third most of the race anyways. If the race would have gone green to the end, that's where I would have finished. So I can't be too disappointed with that. Just wish that maybe it was a little bit quicker to change the tires. But all in all, congrats to Coy for winning another race, and Carl for second place in his first race.
Yeah, that was quite the finish. So good job to you for managing to get another podium. I'm sure that's going to look very nice on the standings. Coming into this race, you already were 15th out of 21 drivers, so I'm sure you're going to be bumped up even further from this third place finish. But
Yep.
yeah, is
All
there
right.
anyone you'd like to thank for getting here?
No, I mean it was a fun race though, so I guess thanks to you guys for putting it on, and we'll probably see you next week.
Good deal. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
All right. Yep. Thanks.
I'm not sure if Koi is here yet or not. Oh, there he is.
I am.
Koi, you got the win again. Somehow. That was quite the finish, and you pulled it off.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say. There was about 5 laps ago, and I was in with Discord with Dave, and we were talking, just thinking it was gonna be over, and there's some lap cars in front of me. I was like, maybe one of them can wreck, and all of a sudden Dave goes, "Oh no, I did it for you." So I don't even know. Obviously, Dave should have won. I mean, he led basically every single lap, so.
Yeah,
But a
everyone
win to win, I
put up a
guess.
heck of a drive here, but I guess it's not over until it's over, and y'all really proved that one here tonight, bringing out the caution with 3 to go. That was a bit of a heartbreaker for myself and everyone in chat. There was a lot of exasperated sighs for that one.
Yeah, I mean, we all knew that later in the run it'd be really loose and stuff, and we were all struggling with it. And when you have that big of a lead, and I don't know, whatever, I guess. We'll take the win and move on to next week.
Yeah, you're moved up to the 11th place on the standings just from your win last week out of 21 drivers, so I would not be surprised if this maybe even bumps you up to the top 5, because you're now the only driver that has multiple wins besides Brian Sabelski.
Yeah, I'm planning on running the rest of the races if everything works out good and it's fun. I like late models, and a longer late model race is a lot of fun actually. So
Yeah, it's definitely great to have you out here. So I'm looking forward to seeing you in the future. Is
thank you.
there anyone you'd like to thank for getting your car here in the win for a second time in a row?
First of all, Dave for inviting me to the league. The league for putting it on. Like I said, long late model races. There's not many of them out there, and they're a lot of fun and tire strategy and stuff. And of course you for broadcasting.
Good deal. Thank you for coming out, Koi. I'm sure I butchered your last name again, but it's been good watching you.
Hey, that's okay. Have a good night.
You too. And that brings us around to our second place finisher. We did things in a very kooky order here tonight, but let's see if we can call up our second place finisher, Carl Felver. Hey, Carl, do you got me by any chance?
I do.
Good deal. You managed to pull off a second place finish in, I believe, your first ever race here, if I'm not mistaken. How are you feeling?
Feeling good. A little bit loose about the last 70 laps of the race, so just trying to hold on and finish as best we could.
Well, you put on a heck of a run, and I'm sure that these standings are going to be looking very good for you going into the rest of this season. It's
Yeah, I
definitely
don't know how many runs we'll make this season, but hopefully we can make the rest of the races this year and see how it goes for us.
a good deal. It's always great seeing new faces out here, and y'all put on a heck of a run. All of you that have joined in the past 2 weeks have been doing a very impressive job.
Thank you. We ran late models together for a couple years, and it used to be the series we would run together all the time, so we've got a lot of experience, and it's fun to be able to run together in a league like this.
Heck yeah, good deal. Is there anyone you would like to thank for getting that number 15 machine into the podium position?
Well, need to thank Dave, number one, for choking away the win there with, I don't know, 3 to go or whatever when he spun. But and then all the people that make this league happen, you for broadcasting, and all the guys we were racing with tonight. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks for coming out. I look forward to seeing you all in future races.
Look forward to being back here.
Good deal. Well, folks, I guess that is that. You heard it from our top 3 finishers here tonight. Coy Haslu, Carl Felver, and Anthony Nadell. 3 drivers either making their rookie debut or their second ever start here with the league, not just this season, but ever, and pulling off the top 3 positions. Very impressive work by these drivers. But that said, let's go take a look at our race results here tonight. Finishing in first place for the second time in the row here, being his first 2 ever starts with the league and getting wins back to back, Coy Haselu in the number 87 machine. Following him in his rookie debut, the number 15 machine of Carl Felver. Third place to the number 9 machine of Anthony Nadell. Another very impressive run here tonight. Fourth place to Timothy Messimer in the number 33 machine in his first ever start with the series. Fifth place to our current points champion and current points leader Brian Sabelski in the 85. Sixth place to David Sluiter in the 21 after leading all but 3 laps of this race. Seventh place to Eric Gahn in the number 51 machine. 8th place to Jason Gardner in the number 93. 9th place to Johnny Bell in the number 27. And finally, rounding out our field here tonight, Jason Mong in the number 70 machine. That's all we got for you here tonight at the Hickory Motor Speedway, rounding out the halfway point of Season 7 of the Oval Series. But don't tune out just yet, because I'll tell you what, race fans, these next 6 races are going to be chaotic. especially next week here at the same times, Monday at 10 p.m. Eastern, we will be racing at the Oxford Plains Speedway. Probably the smallest track on the schedule here for these late model drivers. Oxford's Plain is, needless to say, a very difficult, very awkward, and pretty uncomfortable to drive track. So I would imagine things are going to get very, very serious next week. So be sure you all tune in for round 7 of the ASRC Oval Series, Mondays at 10 p.m. Eastern. I'm Icy Otter, and I've been your host here tonight. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next week. Have a good evening, race fans.